Alright, this is Eric Graham from the RPM Podcast. Josh and Eric Brennan won't leave me alone until I do one of these read things. So, follow us at Facebook, either search RPM Podcast, go to facebook.com/Racing Podcast New Jersey. Hopefully this sounds freaking organic enough for Josh, because he won't leave me the hell alone about it. But here's your read. Follow us on Facebook. Do it now.
And here we are again. RPM Podcast, episode 132, Monday night at 8:24 p.m., April 8th, 2019. Welcome back, everybody, and hello, Tim. How you doing up there in your Farmingdale studio?
I'm good, thank you. Ready to talk racing?
All right, good. Tim's coming. Tim's the spotter on the Nascar Whelen Modified Tour for driver Eric Goodell. They had a very good run. We'll talk about that a little more later. They finished third, which is a great run for those guys. And Josh, how was your weekend?
Busy. Very busy. Although today I went out and I got some color. Mostly red, but color.
I tell you what, real quick, man, it was a beautiful weekend for racing. Weather-wise, I mean, I stopped over Wall Stadium for practice real quick. I just had to buy my tires and stuff like that, and it was beautiful out over there. Then we raced at Big Diamond Speedway up in Minersville, Pennsylvania on Sunday, and the weather couldn't been any nicer. I mean,
let's not talk about that race right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm just talking about the weather.
I'm teasing.
I mean, it was 67 degrees up there, sunny. What a beautiful day on top of that mountain. Clear blue skies. Tim, what was the weather like up at Thompson Speedway?
It was nice. Same. A little breezy, made it feel good. And when the sun came out, it was hot. Well, not hot, but warm. A little bit of clouds, but it was basically the same as you explained it. Good day for racing.
All right.
I guess we're going to kick off with Bristol. I mean, I didn't get to see much. Like I said, Saturday I had a sponsor appearance at a grand opening they were doing for one of my sponsors. I had to bring the car there. Then when I got home from that, I had to scale my Wall Stadium car and get that ready for opening night this Saturday. I did try to check some highlights, and basically anytime you Googled something about Bristol, all they wanted to talk about is the lack of fans in the stands. I know Josh has something written down about qualifying. What did you want to talk about qualifying, Josh?
I'm going to go into that later. That's been a debacle for the past couple weeks about the group qualifying, and that's a whole separate thing. It wasn't specific to Bristol.
Okay.
But I will say that now, from what I did see of the racing, it looked like it was, busy, and, it looked like there were two grooves going, and cars were, side by side, a good portion of it. But I saw a lot of people complaining, saying it wasn't that great. And obviously, I'm sure everybody's seen it by now, the comparison photos of 10 years ago at Bristol versus, this past weekend, where it's, a tenth of the crowd or something like that. It is a drastic difference. I'll admit that.
A big drastic difference, a big drop. And the funny thing is, me and my brother were talking earlier, and we're saying how everybody's saying they want to see more short tracks on the schedule, more short tracks. Well, here's your short track, and nobody showed up. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I got to say about Bristol, it used to be the March race. Now it was in April. The early season day race never draws a crowd like the night race. If anybody's going to choose which race they go to, they choose the night race. Number one, the nightlife and the partying is so much better at the night race. Plus, it's summer. The kids are still in school right now, so. But man, the crowd it was sparse. I mean, it was bad. Not only that, I mean, me and Nancy camped down there a few years, and man, what a great time it is camping down there. And someone took pictures of the campgrounds, and they were just empty. There was like no campers whatsoever, which is nuts, because that place is known for its party camping atmosphere, because there is a lot of camping right around the racetrack. I mean, we camp at Farmer Bob's, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Farmer Bob owns the farm right across the street. He clears the cows out for race weekend, and he lets campers park in there, and you pay him like $25. I think it was like $100 to camp all weekend. He sets up a stage. It's almost like, it felt like Woodstock camping there, It really did. He sets up a stage. He has country bands come in every night. He's got food trucks in there. There's people driving around in golf carts with like the Mardi Gras type beads that you put around your neck, throwing them out to the girls. And what a party scene down there.
Oh,
I really hate to see that Bristol had such a bad turnout. But the NASCAR fans, they make excuses for everything. One of the excuses I heard because there wasn't a crowd there. It's because WrestleMania was on TV. People would have stayed home and watched WrestleMania. I mean, it might be right because it's the same crowd, it's the same type of people.
Unfortunately, race fans like wrestling, and I don't get it. I don't.
Someone said
Tim O'Shea's probably screaming at me right now because I know he's a.
One of the cool ideas I heard, people were calling in the NASCAR radio and saying NASCAR should do this, NASCAR should do that. Meanwhile, then Dave Moody asked, well, were you at the track? And they're like, no. You know what I'm saying? So, one of the guys' idea, which I thought was pretty cool, they said Bristol should have thought ahead and advertised it and set something up with WWE, and they should have showed WrestleMania on the big screen at the racetrack during the race.
I personally, I don't like that. But would it draw extra people? I don't know.
It was an idea, you know what I'm saying? My idea is like, hey man, your March. I still call it the March race because it was called the March. It was always been the March race, but now it's early April. We can call it the spring race, whatever you want to call it. We'll call it the day race, the Bristol day race.
Mm-hmm.
The Bristol day race always has trouble drawing a crowd. By looking at that crowd, I'm thinking they should go old school like the short tracks do and have a pack the track night, man. Maybe charge $10 for a ticket and sit anywhere you want. $10, $15. Let's pack the place again. You know what I'm saying? Let's go with the old theory: an empty seat doesn't buy a hot dog or a soda. Let's pack the place again. Whatever you got to do. If you got to only charge $15 and make it the whole place general admission, just let them sit wherever they want. Let's get the people back in there.
Yeah, I like the pack the track thing, and I agree. If you get people in there at least, then maybe something will come of it.
We all have friends that work down there in NASCAR land, down in Charlotte, and I got a couple friends down there, and this makes sense to me. He says before they'd invite some company there, like courting them to try to get them to sponsor their race team. Back in the 90s, the sponsor would show up and they'd see thousands and thousands of people, the place packed to the brim, excitement, and they couldn't write a check fast enough to the race team. Now they court a company, they invite them to come to the races, and the people would look around and the place is empty. They're like, well, I ain't spending my money here, so we got to get the people back in the grandstands. I mean, to me, it feels like NASCAR surviving off their TV package deal, and if that keeps dwindling, that's going to go away too. That's the thing that's keeping this whole thing head above water. It's a sinking ship, man. It's getting scary. It's getting scary bad. It really is. When I saw that picture of Bristol, I'm like, no way. I was literally upset, because I love this sport and I hate to see it struggle the way it's struggling. I mean, that crowd was just terrible.
It was, and I had a similar reaction. I was more in disbelief of like, nah, I have to be watching a replay yesterday or something.
Yeah. Then I'm like, well, maybe it's the weather. Maybe it rained. What's going on here? And no, the weather was fine.
There was two other things I saw, and I don't think that they may be minor contributing factors, but I don't think they're the main reason. One person was saying that, well, now you can watch, just like you guys are able to watch, or we're all able to watch the modified races on Fans Choice, so we don't have to go to the track because we can watch it, and the other thing was
it's a perfect storm against NASCAR because social media, even though people are, I think the same amount of people still follow racing. They just don't go to the track anymore because you don't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, Nancy even tried that gambling thing, and now you can gamble on NASCAR and bet on it. And she signed up for that, and she tried it this weekend. But honestly, she was racing with me up at Big Diamond, but she would just check the results and what's going on to see how her bets were doing. It's like it's a perfect storm against NASCAR.
People don't even
for losing fans.
People don't even Christmas shop in stores anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's just a changing world, and
you don't have to go out of your house to do any of this anymore.
Well, yeah, and you're right, and I think it applies definitely to it. And let me put it this way: when I went to the Pocono race for IndyCar, it's a big track. Everybody who's been to Pocono knows it's a big track. You can't see that well on what's happened in the backstretch.
Right.
They're almost like specks. They're a little bit bigger than specks moving across there at incredible speeds. It's really cool to see, but you can see so much better on TV because they have these really awesome, expensive cameras.
the way I fight that is when I go to the cup race or a truck race at Pocono, I just sit in front of one of those big screens. You know, they have the two big jumbotrons or whatever. I get a good seat and I make sure the seat is in front of one of them so I can watch it live. And I can, when something happens, I can glance at the screen and see replays and everything like that.
Yes.
If it's out of far corner or back straightaway. Did they have something like that at the IndyCar race? Because I know that's
they had a couple screens. I mean, they're not nowhere near as big as that screen on the backstretch at Texas, but you know they had some screens. You could watch some replays.
Then you just got to plan accordingly. That it's a good tip to anybody that goes to Pocono. Pocono is a great place to go see a race live. It is tough to see, like Josh says, but the one way you can handle that situation is place yourself in front of one of those screens so you have the best of both worlds. You see it live and you can see it on the screen.
You got to hope they have those screens if you go to a road course, though. Definitely.
Yeah.
Because like Watkins Glen is an amazing track, but I mean, you end up sitting just in a single turn, and that's all you see. You know. And then there was another thing that was going around. A lot of people have been sharing it, and this is kind of something I think that's been known for years, but now that they're just bringing it more out into the open. Was Clint Boyer tweeted about he called around to some hotels and
I saw that.
Like the prices were about double. We'll say is a safe number, and they said, "Oh yeah, it's race weekend. That's why they're double. They're going back, you know, from $300 something to $130, you know, on Monday."
And you know that's not NASCAR's fault, and we had the same problem here. You know, Josh, we live on the Jersey Shore. I mean, I seen hotel rooms around here. You know. Through the months of June, July, and August, they all double and triple around here. That's nothing new.
Yeah.
But I like what the hotels were telling Clint Boyer. It was $300 if you booked early, but if you just walked in like the Saturday before the race and took a chance that they weren't sold out, you can get the room for $150.
Yeah.
I think I would have took that chance because there's nobody down there. You know what I'm saying? I think I would have just drove down there and found a hotel. You know, the thing with Bristol is too, Josh, by me and Nancy going down there, and Tim's been to Bristol as well. It's still like in the middle of the mountains. Like there's not much around it, you know, so there's not many hotels, you know, it's not like being in Charlotte where you can go into the city of Charlotte where there's tons of hotels or like Pocono has a lot of hotels because that's like the honeymoon capital of the world, you know, plus ski resorts and stuff in the summer are looking to rent rooms. There's plenty of lodging up that way. Bristol's so old school, man. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere and there's not many hotels around, but I would have took that gamble.
It's literally in between two mountains.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably good for the track in that, you know, if nothing is around it, you're going to have fewer people complaining about it.
Yeah.
So hopefully, it doesn't go the way of, you know, Englishtown or, you know, other tracks that have succumbed to, you know, suburban sprawl. Anyway, back to the racing. I just want to say I made a note in the show doc because we've talked about NASCAR trying to do the right sizing. And I think this is wrong sizing.
Wrong sizing, yeah.
At least this weekend it was. Anyway, so Kyle Busch.
Real quick, Josh.
Yeah.
I thought last year it wouldn't get any worse. Crowds wouldn't get any worse. I'm like, all right, we leveled out at this, but man, it's every year it's getting worse and worse and worse. It's getting scary bad.
All right, you know, with that said, that's NASCAR now. How about whatever else is going on at this? You know, how are the baseball crowds? How are the, you know, basketball crowds? You know, other stuff that's going on right now.
Football crowds will always be good.
Yeah, football.
It's only 16 games a year, I think it is. You know, regular season games. You know, where Cup is 36. You know,
hockey is 80.
Well,
baseball's 162. I mean, there's times I turn into baseball games and there's nobody in the grandstands either. You know what I'm saying?
They're spreading themselves too thin almost.
Yeah.
So,
but NASCAR definitely went from boom to they're struggling. I mean,
so should maybe NASCAR drop? Only have one race at one track per year instead of two, and drop it to a 18 race schedule.
Unless you change it up like that road course thing.
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I don't have the answers. I'm sorry to see it's going that way.
You know, with me being a father of 3 kids, and
I don't even think it's a saturation thing. I just think they're losing the battle against social media. You know, it's just easier to follow it on the computer or on your phone.
That's what I was getting at. It's expensive to take your family to the track. I mean, everybody in the house has got a computer on. They can sit in front of the computer and watch it for free.
And like I tell Nancy all the time, I said, people go out and buy these $2,000 TVs now, and they justify spending that money on a TV that's $2,000. All right, well, we won't go to Pocono weekend. We'll watch it on our $2,000 TV. You know, we won't go to WrestleMania. We'll sit home and watch it on our TV. We won't go to the Super Bowl. We'll sit and watch it on our $2,000 TV. You know, it's just tough right now for spectator sports. But on the other hand, it seems like the short tracks are doing better than ever. I mean, Tim was up at Thompson, and it looked like they had a great crowd for the icebreaker.
Every place we've gone has been packed. I think people, you know, we just said before that people were like, we need more short tracks. But maybe what they meant is we need more local short track. They don't even care about the Cup short tracks. They just all want to go back to their roots and watch, you know, better racing.
Honestly, you can do both now. You could sit at Thompson and watch the Modified Tour race and pay attention to the Cup race on your phone while you're sitting at Thompson, you know?
Well, prime example is Wall Stadium shows the races, you know, the Cup races on the TV in the garage there. And if you want to watch that, if you go in there, you watch it for a minute. And
I don't know. I don't have the answers, but it's getting scary. It's really getting scary.
Yeah, I was actually I'm trying to find if they had a ratings, anything about that for the Bristol race.
But on the other hand, Josh, I read a big article on the IndyCar race. I know we're getting the IndyCar stuff later, but they said they had 89,000 people. But then that's a little inflated too, because then if you read a little further down in the article, it was 89,000 people over the course of 3 days.
Okay, so yeah, you might be counting the people as they come back in after watching.
People,
yeah. Which
still, that's a great turnout for them at you know, some road course down in, where did you say it was, in Georgia? I mean, to have 89,000 people walk through those gates over a three-day weekend, I think that's a great weekend, you know?
It's good for IndyCar. It definitely is. And the sad part is, look, I like IndyCar. It wasn't that great of a race. It just there were a couple moments of excitement, but they were spread out, and it just I mean, there was a cluster F on the start. There was a couple mistakes here and there, a couple decent battles, but it really wasn't that the track looked amazing. I would love to drive one of those cars on that track, but it just, you didn't see the close racing that I was hoping for there.
All right, well, we'll get that to in a little bit. We still got a little more NASCAR and Xfinity here. You're going to have to help me out with this one, Josh. You put out Truex hurt by a caution. What happened to our buddy Martin?
All right, so apparently he didn't pass the commitment cone or the commitment line or anything like that yet, but he was pretty well committed to go to pitting, and I think he was, you know, like feet away from the line, and the caution came out and the lights changed, and you can't uncommit at that point.
Right.
So he ended up being forced to go down pit road and lost a lap or two, and it was just you know, it just, and it's one of those things. I'm not sure that this is anything more than luck of the draw. I mean, it's like gambling on a pit stop. You know, if you're in the middle of the stop when the caution comes out, but it sucks that he hadn't pitted yet, but he went down pit road when the lights came on, but. It was already at a point that if he even tried to swerve back up, it was physically impossible.
Right.
To, you know, and then he would get a penalty for, you know, commitment line violation. So it's just
that happens. Sometimes you get caught in a bad spot at a bad time. It's, you know, that goes with the old saying. It's racing. You know, it's crazy stuff happens in racing.
It could happen to anybody, is what it comes down to. It wasn't.
It's happened before.
Yeah,
it's happened before.
Exactly. It's kind of unfair, but it's not unfair, you know, by NASCAR or by any official or anything like that. It was just really, really crappy timing. And really the big story of the race was Kyle Busch wrecked early, got some damage. Luckily,
his car looked pretty beat up. He won with a pretty beat up race car. I'm pretty impressed. You know?
To come back and win the race after that wreck and going all the way to the back from it. It was pretty interesting. but that's the good thing about Bristol, and is the aero doesn't really matter.
One thing I heard on NASCAR radio today that took me by surprise too. They said he towards the end of the race he did a 2-tire pit stop to get track position, which helped him win the race. But I mean that happens a lot in NASCAR racing. But the surprising thing was he took left side tires and not right side tires. I heard, so that's pretty cool too.
Was that dipping it down maybe into the VHT or whatever compound?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe the left side tires were wearing out more than the right side tires. I don't know, but it was just weird that he took left side tires and not right side tires, and it worked for him. We don't have it on the show, Doc, but I just wanted to mention it. I thought it was really cool that brothers finished 1-2. I mean, Kyle Busch won the race and Kurt Busch finished second. I thought that was pretty cool.
Unlike when they wrecked each other, what was that, like 2005 or something?
Yeah, and Kurt did say if he caught him, he was going to wreck him again to win. So that was pretty fun. Me and my brother have been in racing all our life, and I was trying to think if we ever finished 1-2 in anything. And my brother doesn't race cars, but maybe in like a Wildcat race back in the race place slot car days, we might have finished 1-2 for something like that one time.
Yeah,
remember the Wildcat races, Tim?
Every Wednesday night.
Yeah. Josh, were you in the slot cars when you were a kid, Josh, or no?
No, not really.
You never did the race place or anything like that?
No, I didn't. But I
console auction.
Talking about your brother's thing, Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon finished 14th, 15th.
Good for them.
Well, it ties in.
You know what? That's actually a good finish for them too. They've been struggling bad. I'm telling you, that Richard Childress team hasn't been doing nothing lately.
I saw a lot of people are unhappy.
I mean, in my eyes, they're not even considered one of the premier teams anymore. They're like down to like second tier team now. Like.
What about Bowman?
I kind of lump them in with Front Row Motorsports and all those guys.
But Alex Bowman was supposed to be this big hyped up talent, and he finished 23rd.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's about an average finish for him. And another note, only 37 cars at Bristol. That's kind of a shame.
At first, I was looking at practice speeds. There were sometimes in practice there's only 35 cars. I was thinking there wasn't even the full 36 chartered teams being there, but I guess they were all there, huh?
Where did Ryan Preece finish?
I'm looking for it.
I think he spun on the front straightaway or something during the race.
Hang on, I'm scrolling.
Tim, what's the buzz like on the modified tour? What are people saying about Ryan? Wishing he was in a better rider? Are they wishing he'd just come back to the modifieds and give up on the Cup deal, or are they all still supporting him?
Yeah, they seem to be very, very supportive of him. I don't think
he did well at Daytona. I mean, he avoided a lot of wrecks at Daytona. 25th at Bristol, but
you know what? Jimmy Blewett had said to us when he was on our show that he's like, watch for Ryan Preece when they hit these short tracks, Martinsville, Bristol, Richmond. So far, it's not coming true. I mean, I was hoping he'd have a better run at Martinsville and Bristol too.
Well, how much say does he have in the setup? I mean, he can say what he's feeling.
But what Jimmy was saying, it puts you on a level playing field with the bigger teams on these small tracks.
Okay.
And it more comes down to driver.
I listened to a show with Brad Doherty on it.
Yeah, he's pretty good on the radio.
Yeah, and he flat out said, he goes, anything above a 20th place finish is a win for us. Like, they expect to be a 20th place car, and he said Ryan gets mad if they don't run in the top 12 to 15th. Like, he's expecting. He goes, right now he's expecting more from us than we are of him. Okay. So I don't think he's in any threat to get fired or anything. Okay. They're happy with him. Brad Doherty said we hired him to grow together, and he does have input in the setup and stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons why they hired him, because he can do that kind of stuff. So he's not in any jeopardy to lose his ride because of his performance. They're growing together. So,
is anybody saying on the modified tour when he might come back and race a modified again? Is there any races like that?
He's got like 2 or 3 that I think he's going to be at Stafford. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's this Stafford or not, but there was I think he had 3 races he was doing, and I think Turkey Derby was one of them, if I remember correctly.
You think he'll do the New Hampshire races when the Cup cars are there?
I don't. That's a good question. He might not be allowed to. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Did anybody else see about Kevin Harvick failing pre-race inspection 3 times?
Man, he had a bunch of problems going on. They make him start in the rear, and he had a stop and go penalty from something that happened in pre-inspection.
Outline of the track. He will lose his 13th place qualifying effort and start at the rear of the field. He will also have to serve a pass-through penalty at the start of the race. Jesus. And the team's engineer.
That kills you at Bristol. You can get away with that at like a big track like Daytona or something like that, but you ain't getting away with that at Bristol. You're losing 2 laps before that. So they made him start last and pretty much took 2 laps away from him.
Yep, and the team's engineer has also been ejected.
Jesus, man. Talk about it, a bad start to a race weekend, man.
But
that's a tough deal there.
But at the same time, if NASCAR is, if it's like a template thing or something like that, no, like, I mean, they're putting their foot down.
Yeah, and I think I not saying it was a big penalty. I'm thinking it's more because they're repeat penalties. Like they've been caught with stuff a few times this year, and I think they're getting real hard on them now.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay with it. I mean, I know John Keane wasn't happy, but I just if you're gonna fail and fail again, it just no. You
Kevin Harvick is also very outspoken against NASCAR. I wonder if they're a little bit harder on him too to be like,
Well, like when Kyle complained about the car tomorrow, and he said, "I hate these things" or something. And they penalized him or fined him for that too because
they got that quote in the rule book. What's that?
Actions detrimental to stock car racing.
Yeah, that pretty much says, "Don't talk bad about us, or we're going to fine you." All
right, Bristol Motor Speedway, Bristol, also known as Bristol International Raceway, half-mile asphalt oval from 1961 to 1968. Turns bank 22 degrees. Half-mile asphalt oval 69 to 92, turns bank 36 degrees. First race was a NASCAR Grand National event. Half-mile concrete oval from 1992 to present, also known as Bristol International Raceway. In June 02, 2000 and June 02, 2001, the half-mile track was covered in dirt for the World of Outlaws sprint car race.
When did they change it to the? Didn't they do the progressive banking?
That's not in this. That's not in this book.
But that's what changed everything to the High Line, right?
Yeah, but I think they even took that out from now too. I think they did away with that too.
But then they're still stuck, or was it a resurfacing issue that caused them to now have to put the VHT or the sticky stuff down at the bottom?
Yeah, who knows?
They've done so much there. Who even knows anymore? They cut the track. They put it back. They cut it again. They did this. I mean, back in the day, there used to be no banking there to begin with. They put that in after, before our time. But Darrell Waltrip talked about that this weekend. That when he first started racing there, they didn't even have banking there yet.
And talking about food, we always talk about food. With Bristol, one of the things I ate for the very first time and liked was fried green tomatoes. They sell fried green tomatoes all over the place.
I never saw that movie.
I never saw that movie either, but I did eat them. They're pretty good. They actually take a green tomato and they slice it up thin and they put it in like breadcrumbs and they deep fry it. It's actually pretty good. Yeah, like eggplant. Yeah, I like the fried green tomatoes. Then we had corn on the cob, and they give it to you with butter and like garlic or something. And while it's in the in the shell of the corn, you got to peel it open and eat it. The corn on the cob's real good down there too. And no, I don't eat it the long way. All right, so that pretty much sums up.
I'm sorry, that was really witty. I Scott needs more credit for that. That was
for Kyle Busch. He tied another record and broke another record this weekend. So,
and Anthony Hirschman, who has been a
fish, and I guess the one was the longest streak of top 10s from the beginning of the year till now.
Okay,
no one's finished in the top 10, and then he tied Lee Petty for the most wins.
All right.
I tell you, he's on fire. Kyle Busch is on fire.
And before you talk about Matt Hirschman,
No,
we
not
got
Matt Hirschman. We're talking about. I was just going to mention that Anthony Hirschman, who has been
Oh,
on
yeah.
this, Winston, who has been on
Uh-huh.
our show with us. He won the internet. He put it. You know, how Kyle Busch throws his son up in the air in victory lane.
Yeah, I was just going to tell that
You see
story. Go ahead.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
you know, Winston is good friends with my brother and Scooter and everybody, and one of the things they got going on. Scooter doesn't like Kyle Busch. My brother's a huge Kyle Busch fan, and of course Winston, Anthony Hirschman, spots for Kyle Busch. Tony Hirschman put on his Facebook a picture of Kyle Busch throwing his kid up in victory lane, except he took Scooter's face and put it on Kyle Busch's son's face. You know what I'm saying? So it looked like Kyle Busch was throwing Scooter up in the air after the race win. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I got more to add to that story. We raced yesterday. We'll get to that in a little bit, but we get back in the car and we turn on the radio, and it's already on Sirius NASCAR radio from the ride up. It's still on there. And the first thing it was like Claire B. Lang goes, and Kyle Busch won today. And Scooter gets all pissed off. Oh, you F him, he sucks. Blah, blah, blah. So I text Tony and tell him, congratulations. We're on our way home from Thompson. Scooter's with me. And he said, okay. And then a little bit later, he texted me back, and Scooter told me to tell him, F him, F Kyle Busch and F him. And Winston told me, all right, I'll fix him tomorrow. So I guess that's what he got his month.
All right, moving on to the Xfinity series.
There was no Kyle Busch in Xfinity.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. I mean, all these people say they don't want to see Cup drivers in the Xfinity series, blah, blah, blah. Well, here you go. It was a Dash for Cash race. One of the rules for the Dash for Cash races is no Cup drivers. It's got to be all Xfinity drivers. They pay a $100,000 bonus to the Xfinity driver that wins the race. Christopher Bell won the race and the $100,000 bonus. And there was no Cup drivers in it. Who cares? I think they need a few Cup drivers in these races.
I think it would be better to get that bonus if you beat a Cup driver.
Yeah.
Maybe the Cup driver can't get the bonus, but there's a bonus to be had if you beat a Cup driver.
They should do that every week.
Yeah.
Every week.
Congratulations to Christopher Bell on winning the race and winning the $100,000 bonus. Josh, you have this written down, Sadler at Richmond.
Oh, yeah, there was I got tagged in a post. I think it was Rick Patterson tagged me about Sadler saying that he's eating healthy and, changing his diet and all that, and he's coming back and he's going to be at Richmond.
Yeah, Elliott Sadler, right?
Yeah.
Not Hermie.
No.
Yeah, Elliott Sadler. I say he got a ride with Cullick Motorsports, the Leaf Filter team. They have that number 10 car that they also race. He's going to be driving that in a couple races, and I guess Richmond is one of them. I think that's great. I love watching Elliott Sadler race. I've always been an Elliott Sadler fan, and I'd love to see him race a few more races.
Well, we'll get Priest in that race, and
F that guy. All right, the trucks. We don't really have much to talk about the trucks. They're off until I think Dover, so they're still off for a few more weeks. So we'll talk more about the trucks when it comes around for them time to race. So we'll do a quick Indy thing. Indy was at Barber Motorsports Park down in Georgia.
Oh, Morgan Shepherd finished 35th on Saturday.
He was allowed to race that race. He's a Cup driver.
Yeah, right.
It says I don't know.
Do they still give the payout? Is the payout there?
Nah, they don't show the payouts anymore.
No, that is confidential.
Yeah.
I mean, people make fun of Morgan Shepherd too, but he probably still makes a pretty good paycheck at the end of the year.
Probably left there with $20,000. Probably spent $5.
I know he's looking for tire sponsors and stuff a lot. You see that on Facebook and things like that.
Speaking about Morgan Shepherd, we should mention Sterling Marlin's going through another tough time there.
That's right. I meant to put that in there. Parkinson's, right, Scott?
Yeah, he's got Parkinson's disease, and they're trying to do something where they stimulate his brain, and this is the third. I think they got to go 4 times for it, and this is his third trip to the hospital to get this done. And
Yeah, it was
I
a
don't know, man. He's got a long road ahead of him.
The crazy part is he just won not that long ago.
He says as soon as he gets out of the hospital, he's going to win again. He said he's
Yeah.
going to jump right back in the lead. I wonder when it's going to get to the point where they might tell him they don't want him in the car anymore, but he's still driving. He's still winning. I watch videos of him. He's still fast as hell.
maybe the treatments are working. Maybe they caught it early and the treatments are kind
Nah,
of holding it off.
I mean, Josh, you can see it. He's in bad shape.
Okay.
Yeah. I love Sterling Marlin. I was a huge Sterling fan. I got pictures of me and Sterling together at Daytona.
Wait, was that when he was pulling the fender
I wish
out?
him well. I wish him well. I hope someone says it or he says to himself, all right, man, it's just not safe for me to be in a race car anymore, because
he might be pulling every bit of.
He's looking pretty frail. But, I mean, like my brother said, he's still running good and he's still winning races. So I guess keep racing, I guess.
I always think of him pulling that fender out under the red flag.
Yeah.
That's my memory. And he drove the Maxwell House car, too, for a while, right?
Yeah, the 22. Yeah, he's had great rides. He's had a great career, man. He's always been
He almost won the points that one year.
Yeah, he broke his neck.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
So
we're moving on to Indy. One cool thing I saw about the Indy race that I noticed, the top three finishers are all pretty old guys, all in their late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, Takuma Sato got the win. I mean, he pretty much led right from the beginning. I mean,
he's
was
42 years old.
Scott Dixon, he's a 5-time champion, they're saying, and everybody talks about Mario Andretti. He's only a 4-time champion.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
One stat I did see was, they were making a big deal that Sato was 42 years old. They said the oldest IndyCar winner was Mario Andretti in like 1999 or 93 or something like that. He won at Phoenix in Arizona. Okay. He was 53 years old and he won an Indy race. So Sato was joking around. He's like, "Oh, good, I got 11 years left."
And then Sebastian Bourdais, that's your top three. And yeah, because otherwise Joseph Newgarden, I mean, he's been in it for a few years, but he's still a young guy. Alexander Rossi and James Hinchcliffe. I mean, they had decent days. I mean, finished 5th and 6th. They hung on, but they didn't wow anybody. And like I was saying before, it wasn't the most exciting race. You had weird things like Tony Kanaan made I guess maybe a late decision to pit. And basically ran, who was it? I have it in the notes. Ran somebody else off the track, and then they ended up going into the wall. Was it Rosenquist? I gotta find my thing.
Now, are you thinking it wasn't an exciting race, or was the track itself too narrow for passing, or what do you think? Why do you think it wasn't an exciting race?
There wasn't a lot of side by side, which and I know at a road course with IndyCar you're going to have a lot of single file, but they weren't even really that close to each other. It was almost like a rally race where they start, you have to wait a minute, then the next car goes. There was a lot of gap between them. There was some decent challenges, but and then they said it was a nearly flawless run for Sato, but towards the end, like the last handful of laps, he overdrove a turn, went off through the dirt and kind of launched the car. And then luckily he was able to regain control and get back on track without losing much position. But yeah, it was just kind of a goofy mistake towards the end there. I don't know if he was caught sleeping or what. I will say that the start was kind of a cluster F. Ed Jones. Now, Scott, you usually start towards the front, and when you get enough wins that you'll get pushed farther back. How often do you, on those starts, maybe kind of hang back a little bit to try to time it and get on the gas?
I don't like that trick. If I hang back, I'm hanging back to hang back, so I don't get involved in a wreck. If I see a couple of people starting on the front row,
but in your career, you've tried it though, right? I'm sure.
Nah, I don't really play that game. Yeah. I just never see it work.
It almost worked for Ed Jones. He passed about 6 rows on the start because they waited and waited and waited to throw the green flag, and he was already up to speed.
So it sounds like an embarrassing situation to me. It's like he got caught jumping in the start.
They gave him a drive-through penalty for it, but it was interesting. It was like, wow.
I tell you what, though, Tim. the coolest way I see the start of a race, and we didn't do it this week at Big Diamond, but last week we did it. And I remember it as a kid at the Race of Champions. I loved the Race of Champions at Pocono on a 3/4 mile track when they would bring the field right to the flag stand and throw the green flag. Like they didn't start coming out of turn 4.
Oh, like they did to the Sportsmen for a while because they kept wrecking.
They would bring them right. Yeah, they wouldn't let them start in the turn, right?
Yeah.
I thought the most exciting thing of my childhood watching racing was the Race of Champions Modifieds coming right to down the straightaway and throwing the green flag when they were at the flag stand. They did it last week at my race, the Enduro race. They brought us right to the flag stand through the green. This time I was starting on the pole, so I'm ready to bring the field right to the flag stand, like a cool old way. They threw the green like in between 3 and 4, and I had to really jump on it quick. But yeah, it sounds like he. Oh, I think we're getting a guest on here soon, Josh.
Oh yeah. It looks like. So now, Scott, do they when they wave the green flag, do they also announce it over the radio, the receiver?
No. You just gotta watch the flag and watch the lights.
Okay. Now, when there's a red flag, do they announce that at least?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Because I remember I at Mountain, I would be in a spot I couldn't see the flagger from where I was at, and so I had to wait for the radio. I'm trying to crane my neck back. Joining us, we have the lovely Claire.
No, you gotta see. We told you guys 2 weeks ago that we haven't heard from Sam Ballard in a while, so we're going to put his pictures on milk cartons. Well, it must have worked because welcome back to the show, Sam Ballard Jr. How you doing, Sam?
Oh, he's talking, but we can't hear him.
Tell
Ellen I said hi. Anyway, Sam's got to figure out.
Check the mute button on your computer.
This is interesting. Oh, I heard a pop. This is usually what we go through before we start recording. All those.
Nope.
Still can't hear you, Sam. Sam, you're ruining it, man. It was perfect, man. It was a perfect setup, and you're ruining it.
Check the mute button on everything. That's Josh.
So Josh, how was the crowd at Indy when you were watching? Did it look like a good crowd?
Well, it's a road course, so it did look like a good crowd. And you mentioned that, what was it, 89,000 people?
Yeah, over 3 days.
I was actually impressed with the crowd, and I will I'm going to take a risk here and say that possibly they had a bigger crowd than Bristol. Just by looking at the tents and the people crowded along the fence.
Crazy about that? I mean, Georgia's not far from Tennessee, so.
I doubt that any NASCAR tin top fans were going to Indy.
Yeah. But was there a Ferris wheel at the IndyCar race?
I did. I didn't see one. Scott, actually, do you mind looking in your book for Barber Motorsports Park?
I did. I looked. I didn't see anything in there.
That's a bad book.
Do you know if it had a different name or is it a newer track or? I
don't know. Now you're catching me off guard. I have to look this up. This is what
Sam's
Sam's supposed to do.
I have. This book was in. Let me see when this book was written. Yeah, I looked. I couldn't find it, Josh. There was nothing on the Barber Motorsports. Yeah, this book is. When was it cut? Yeah, this book was made in 2003.
I can look it up. I'll do a wiki thing. Anyway, Sam.
Is it Barber Motorsports, like the Skip Barber?
Yes. Yes.
It's his track?
I don't know. It's not my book.
It is an 880-acre multi-purpose racing facility located in Birmingham, Alabama. It was built by Alabama native George W. Barber. It includes the 230,000 square foot vintage motorsport museum. And let's see. It opened in 2003, 16 turn. Yeah, that's probably why it's not in your book, Scott. It opened in 2003.
What was it built?
2003.
Just missed this book.
You need the new edition. Now we know why it's not going there. Anyway, yeah, it looks like they have a lot of fun activities there, or off-road course.
Sam's
making popping noises, so something's going to... Dear God.
I was if you're almost done with the Indy, you want to take a break and see if we can figure this out?
Yeah, we can take a quick break. Scott,
done with
I
Indy?
don't want to take a break. I'm actually enjoying watching Sam struggle with trying to get
it's typical. It's very ironic that he becomes a NASCAR official one day ago, and he can already not communicate with the people he needs to communicate with.
I'm thinking he has some type of issue because I'm hearing the popping when he's unplugging stuff. So
Yeah.
it sounds like there's got to be a volume or a gain or a knob or a mute button that's pushed somewhere. Hint, hint.
let's take a break. Let's take a break, Josh. We haven't done that in a while.
Okay, not a problem. All right, we'll catch you right on the flip side. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be all our local stuff and the modified stuff, which everybody's going to be really excited about. So we'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Sam Ballard from the RPM Podcast. Planning an event and looking for a great time? Go no further than RC2U Racing for all your portable family entertainment. RC2U turns any occasion into a competition. Check them out online at rc2uracing.com.
And we're back. And Sam Ballard Jr. is in the house, and we can hear him now. And we got that all worked out. So welcome back, Sam. How you been, buddy?
I'm okay. I hope everyone checked out RC2U Racing since I did that advertisement. That's a long time ago.
We had a good day.
Sam is back. He has been on with us in a few months, and once again, his room has not changed. He does still have his Jimmy Johnson poster up.
Whoa.
Beautiful girlfriend sitting underneath it. That's a big difference. He's got a girl in his room.
I would say there's one huge improvement, Scott. There's a girl.
Yeah, he's got a girlfriend in there now.
You still got the same sheets?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I tell you what, though. We got to say Sam is loyal, man, because he's sticking with his Jimmy Johnson through the hard times. That's for sure.
I'm telling you, it's not purple because he really hasn't won a points race yet. Once he wins a points race, I'll have purple sheets.
I've been really wanting to ask you since you're back. Everybody said Jimmy Johnson's washed up. No, I'm not. Nothing bad. Jimmy Johnson's washed up, blah, blah, blah. You being a loyal fan, what do you think the problem is? I mean, he's not washed up. The guy doesn't win all these races and all these championships and then wakes up one morning and decides he can't drive anymore. You know, the guy can still drive. What do you think the problem is?
Because I don't work for Hendrick, I'd say I think it's the cars. I don't think Hendrick Motorsports is nowhere near where they need to be for the last couple of years.
I don't think it's just Hendrick, though. I think it's just Chevy in general.
I mean, Ganassi is the top Chevy team right now with Kurt Busch, and that's saying something. So
Whoa. They finished second. They finished second.
Yeah, I know, but there again, it was Bristol at a short track, and it is Kurt Busch. He runs very, very good at Bristol.
I just wanted to fight.
Right, and I mean, if you ask his Russian girlfriend, he'd probably think he's number one, but, you know. So.
At least this
all right,
one's
so
not
we're going to get to the
assassin.
local segment, and we're just welcoming Sam back. It's great to have Sam back. We have one Sam Ballard Jr. with us. We're also going to talk about Nick Ballard Sr. Nick Ballard Sr. is Sam's older brother or younger brother?
He's older by like 30 seconds.
Oh, so you guys are twins. Okay.
No, they're
sure.
two of a quad. There's four of them, which is just,
really?
Yeah, it's deeply disturbing.
Yeah. All right.
Jeez.
I'm so mad that Sam Ballard Sr. has all these kids, and not one of them is a demolition derby driver. I just don't know where he went wrong in his parenting. But Nick Ballard Jr. was recently named the new head of security at Wall Stadium. He's taken Big George's position. Unfortunately, we lost Big George over the winter. I think Nick's going to be great at this job. He's a big guy. He's a young guy. Not too many people know him there.
He's well respected and he's calm, and I think he's going to be a good thing. And it is literally big shoes to fill.
Was that a public release from the track, or is it just something y'all heard through the grapevine?
I heard it from somebody. I have a source, unnamed.
Okay. All right. I don't know if she was making a big deal about having Nick, because if that's the case, great job, Nick.
Well, in the same vein, congratulations, Sam Ballard Jr.
For what?
For getting a job with NASCAR?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Ballard worked the very first modified tour race. He's part of the NASCAR tech staff or scoring staff or official staff?
Yes.
Mhm.
They pretty much let you do it all, which I mean, for those who don't know, actually Josh was there right before Christmas. I was sitting with Josh where I got the text message from Jimmy Wilson, our director, and he didn't promise me anything, and he said hope for the best, and I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to look like a butt, but here we are. So,
That's right. Yeah, you're
No,
like,
we're
I want
happy.
to take this. This is NASCAR. I was like, hey, no problem. I'll
Well,
No,
you're a NASCAR official on what series?
I will be. I'm with the Wheel and Modify Tour right now. I think if they need me with the K&N series, I think they'll use me up there. But besides that, I think I'm loyal to the tour.
Yeah, well, rule of thumb is they usually start you with us, and then if you like to stay there, you can stay there. If you want to move on to bigger and better things, you can do so.
So
It's
Sam, I'm
definitely-
just curious why you didn't start until Thompson. I mean, you live in the South now in North Carolina. Why weren't you at Myrtle Beach or South Boston?
Paperwork.
like
It was a not Austin self paperwork.
Yeah, it sounds like to me, but
Right. I mean, it was a mixture of logistics and the time it takes to approve a drug test. I mean, I passed, but they called me. I think it was on Tuesday, and then it cleared on Friday, and I was supposed to be in Myrtle Beach that Friday, and I was like, it's too late. And then I had a WK race last weekend during Sobo, so I couldn't go there.
yeah, that was my next question. Are you planning on still working with the karting thing, or are you shifting over to NASCAR?
As of right now, if NASCAR asks me to stop that, I probably will. So my loyalty is with them, considering bigger and better things. No offense to if any of our karters are listening, WK has been great to me. I've been there with I think 4 years now. But
the pay's
if
better.
there's a policy or something, yeah, and the opportunity is better. It was pretty cool. But Hot Pockets and Timmy welcoming me into the spotter stand. I mean, I don't get that at a kart track.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but yeah. Now is that so? As of right now, you'll be doing the rest of the tour with us.
I believe so. I don't think I'm going to Seekonk.
Don't worry about that. You ain't missing nothing there.
Right.
Just out of curiosity, how does the traveling work? Does NASCAR have a plane that flies to these things, or are you on your own getting there? Or?
Oh, it's all commercial, and then their director, the director of each series. So there's a race director, and then there's a series director, and the series director is the one that books all the hotels and the flights and everything.
Do you travel with him?
I travel with a crew of them. I didn't travel with him because I don't have to go to the races as early as he does during the weekend, but I travel with a crew out of Charlotte. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the way it works, it's for those who are curious, because I was always curious. I believe it's a pool. So I mean, think about how many NASCAR officials there actually are. They select, obviously, let's say Seekonk being one. They don't need to fly me up there if they have a bunch of officials in the area. Let's save some money. But there are select few officials that happen to travel with them to all the races.
Right.
I do think I'm lucky enough. I think I will be going to majority of the races on the tour. But as of right now, I will be in Stafford on the last weekend of the month. And then I will be at Wall Stadium in May, and then I will be, I believe, Thompson for that Wednesday race in the beginning of June. So,
Tim, I remember when we were kids, we would go to Pocono for the Cup race, and it would be like New Egypt Speedway's officials up there. Like NASCAR would bring their local NASCAR track officials in to help with the big series,
So
because they're available. They're within 2 hours of the track, and they can drive over there. They don't have to fly them up from Charlotte or Florida or wherever they're flying them up for.
So Sam, real quick, let's go with the Wall Stadium modified race that you'll be at.
right.
Your duties are going to be with NASCAR and the modified tour and getting them figured out. But let's say, depending on how the schedule goes, do I still get a chance to try to run you over in the pits, or I mean, are you going to be too busy, or do you get to see anything else going on at the track?
He'll be doing other things. Like he said, they keep them very busy.
Can you at least wander over and check my underwear? You haven't done that in a while.
For you, Scott, maybe. No, from what Tim said,
Put it this way. I looked for Sam all day long on Sunday, and the only time I ever saw him was in the spotter stand. So They must have had him pretty busy all day if I can't find him, because the place ain't that big.
Yeah.
So he was doing something.
I was looking for Tim, but between crowd control and helping with tech, and I was mainly with tires. I was impounding tires, I was checking tires, air pressures, all that crazy stuff. So the tech process is really cool. I mean, for those who don't know, I'm not really experienced in that tech department. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this on the podcast, but so it's really cool to learn the process and stuff like that. And they're willing to teach if you're willing to learn. If you're not willing to learn, not willing to do the work, then NASCAR is probably not the right series for you. So I have a lot of experience race directing with the go-karts and stuff like that. And so what's really cool is, we have such an army of guys. I mean, we brought like 20 guys with us, officials alone, and they each have their own little knack between being an EMT, firefighter, tech guy. So it was really cool to see that. I've never actually witnessed that before on a team, and they definitely know what they're doing, which is why they're NASCAR.
Did you work with Chris Hammond?
I did.
Yeah, Chris is a great guy.
Yeah, there was a miscommunication from the track to us, I believe, for the autograph session on the track, and it was all hands on deck to do crowd control for that. We had about 1,000 people on the front stretch surrounding these cars. It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
When you're talking about crowd control, are you talking about getting the people down and then the people back off the track when it's over?
Getting people away from the cars. I mean, like,
it's almost like an impound kind of deal.
Right. We don't know the difference between, fan and crew, and we don't want anyone messing with the cars. If Tim paid Scott to go lean up against his car and warp it in a way where it'd be a competitive advantage. Right. So we just stayed clear of all that and told him back away from the car. So
wow,
that's what we did.
It makes sense.
So they flew you all the way up from Charlotte to tell people not to lean on the side of a modified.
Tim. Scott, somebody has to do it.
All right, we have a new announcer at Wall Stadium also this year, talking about changes in staff at the racetrack. Tim Catalfamo, is the new announcer at the racetrack. He's taken over the spot that Eric Brennan vacated when he moved down south. I did get to meet Tim at last week's practice. He seems like a great kid, great guy. He seems very enthusiastic about taking the job. I wish him well. I think he's going to do good. He came over to my car and asked some technical questions. He wanted to learn about the car so he knew what to talk about and when he's up in the tower.
He's a very smart guy.
I think it's going to be a great fit. What's that?
He's a very smart guy, and he follows NASCAR pretty closely. I mean, he hosts a NASCAR Today with Tim Catalfamo on Rutgers WRSU station. He's been a guest on our podcast before. We're going to have him on again soon. We're talking to him. I think he'd be a good person to have because Scott's going to be great for factory stock talk. But if I'm not at the track or something, or if I'm busy racing,
and that's what I was telling my brother in a private message. I said we need this guy Tim to check in with us because by him being up in the tower announcing the night of races, he's going to see every single race, so he's going to be able to tell us everything about every race. Where I'm lucky if I get up to watch the modified race because I'm so busy working on my own cars. I met him. I think he's a great guy, and I think he's going to do great. And I think he's a great fit for Wall Stadium. Eric Brennan did a great job there. We wish Eric the best down in North Carolina, and Tim's kind of stepping in where Eric Brennan left off, and I think it's going to work well.
So now is he going to be Gary Larson's new bitch? I guess. I don't know.
Josh. All right, moving on. Greg Biffle ran the 24 hours Le Mans.
No, he's going to. He's going to.
Oh, he's going to.
Yeah, I think that's.
I seen video of him working on his car, and like I said, he's a hands-on guy, man. He was hooking gauges up, running wires, welding. He's building a pretty cool car. I think it's gonna be good.
That
it's a Crown Vic. He's building a Crown Vic just like I ran against him at his house at the Triple B 100. So he's good with these Crown Vics. He's gonna make that thing a rocket ship.
Now that's gonna be in Pittsburgh, I believe, this weekend. The opening night at Wall Stadium, Saturday, and all that. So I know we're all gonna be at Wall. Aaron Lineman, though. Past guest on the show and hopefully future guest. We just need to sort out schedules again. Hopefully soon, especially with this race coming up, is going to be racing against Biffle at this event. he's actually going to be missing Wall for the first time in a while to go and run this Lemons race. So it's going to be really cool. I'm excited to see how it turns out. I would love to run a Lemons race. Scott, I'm sure you would love to do it. I know you pack yourself pretty heavy with your racing schedule and all, but do you think you'll ever get to do a Lemons race?
Yeah, I think that'll be something I'll do later in life. Like maybe once I'm done with racing Wall Stadium weekly and I got more time, I definitely like to put something together and put a team of 4 people together and go through something like that. That's something I can do well into my 50s or something like that. I just don't have the time to do it now. I pay close attention to it. I have looked into it. I was invited to go race with Mike Carpenter and his team one time, but I was racing somewhere else that day and I couldn't race with him. So I have been invited to do it. And it is something I'm definitely interested in. I think it's a really cool and neat deal.
I think your team is right here on the screen.
I don't know. Your trailer needs axles and your car doesn't start no more.
Well, no, we're separate drivers of the same car. Well, we'll make it work.
So you're saying I'm going to do all the work and then you're going to jump in.
Not all.
He wants to show up with his helmet bag and race. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I've seen pictures at like the 24 Lemons and stuff like that, and it is funny that you say that. Some people take it way too serious, like they're walking around with brand new fire suits and they have like someone walking next to them holding an umbrella under their head, over their head, like a like an F1 guy, blocking them from the sun and stuff like that. So it's pretty. I mean, I think it's a great concept, and I think it's a great racing series, and it seems like so much fun. And it's definitely something I'm looking at, but it is expensive. I'm telling you, like the entry fee is like $1,200 or $1,500 or something like that, and you need a lot of set of tires to run that long.
I want to talk to Aaron about that more. Because
it costs a lot of money to rent those tracks out.
Yeah.
Yes,
those tracks, they're major facilities,
But then the idea is too, like say if it is $1,500, but you got 4 people to split it with, you know what I'm saying, and you all
the
get
car's
plenty of
supposed to be
track
$500.
Yeah, which they are. Greg Biffle had a $12,000 seat in his. So,
what race car can you build for $500? I can't even build a go-kart for $500.
Well, that's why you bribe the judges.
That runs for $500 anymore.
The big thing is bribing, and it's accepted. It's so it's a completely different world from what Sam's doing right now. Although I will try to bribe him at some point. But now one thing Aaron did tell me about the Lemons races, because I was like, well, I already have the factory stock, so maybe I should just use that because it already has the cage in it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard they don't like the NASCAR style cages though.
Well, it's also he said a big thing is you actually want a smaller engine car for the fuel mileage, because the pit stops will kill you when you go to refuel.
Well, that's one thing Greg Biffle, if you watch that video, Greg Biffle building that Crown Vic, he's like, show him the fuel cell, and they open up the trunk. He has got like a 22-gallon fuel cell, in it, so he's ready for that.
Yeah, but he's going to get terrible mileage compared to Aaron in a Miata or whatever it is. So and that's a big thing. If you can hold a decent pace and you don't have to pit as often, then fuel mileage is. Eric Brennan would
also
love it.
Greg Biffle had it set up with the NASCAR style quick fill gas can and all that stuff. He's prepared for that. He's working around that fuel mileage deal.
Well, I've seen.
Does he have anybody special driving with him?
Not that I know of. I didn't even recognize any of the people working on the car with him. I haven't heard the lineup of people. He might. I don't even know.
That'd be cool if we got like a bunch of other guys.
It'd be cool if he called Scott up and said, "Hey, you did this down with us."
But like Tim said, it'd be cool. Imagine if it was like him, Dale Jr., Elliott Sadler, or something like that. All the retired Cup people, NASCAR people. All right, we're starting to lose Sam here. He's already talking to his girlfriend and stuff. So let's talk about the Thompson modified race. Had a great field of cars, right, Tim? What, 27, 28 cars up there?
Yeah, 28, I was told.
Yeah, 28. So that's pretty good. Yeah. Who won the race, Tim? Who won the race?
Not us. Justin Bonsignor won the race.
Oh, yeah, that's good for Justin. Justin's a previous guest on the RPM podcast with us, and he was in Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't he been in a little bit of a wind drought?
We struggled a little bit, but it's only the third race into the season, so he's right back to where he was. Doug Kobe had the field covered. He ran a ran an airline over in the pits, coming out of the pits at the last pit stop when they put him to the back of the pack.
You mean Sam black flagged him?
Oh, NASCAR.
No, Sam was up. Sam was in the spotter stand standing. And I feel bad for him. The first day as being official, he standing with me, Hot Pockets, and Skippy. So he got to see what I got to deal with every weekend.
So,
but anyhow,
let me ask you real quick, Sam. What was your job up in the spotter stand?
I think it was to babysit Hot Pockets. No, it was to see what there's another I had another official up there, and she was to show me what she does, because we have a from my understanding, an official in the spotter stand to be a liaison between the race director and then the spotters. So, hey, 58, get in line behind the 21. And then if he doesn't, I can go over and yell at Tim and give Tim hell until he makes sure the job's done.
All right, now let me tell you my side of the story of that. I hear the company man's boss tell the company man on the radio, go over and tell the 58, and I wave to him, and then he knows I'm okay. And if I tell the driver to do so, and he doesn't do so, then the company man is going to come back over and yell at me again. So I can say, I told him so. And he's like, spotter stand to tower, message has been sent. And that's basically what he does.
I also see it necessary to have a NASCAR official up in the spotter stand, because
it works. It's 100% Wall Stadium, but we've had this discussion before. Wall Stadium needs to have a spotter stand with an official, and it does make it go smoother. You know what I mean?
Well, not only that, you got 28 spotters up there, and spotters they get hyped up just like the race car drivers does. So something happens on the track, I've seen where spotters start arguing with each other and fighting with each other. So you need a NASCAR official up there to make sure nothing like crazy like that happens up there as well.
And security.
I have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to that.
So, any highlights from the race, Tim?
Jimmy Blow, the local guy, he finished 10th. I think Blake Barney was 16th. Unfortunately, Andrew Krause was 27th out of the 28 cars.
But Andrew was running very well, and the rack broke, or a power steering line broke.
Okay. So he had some mechanical difficulties. Did any of those guys lead at all? Did Jimmy lead the race at any point of the time, or Blake?
No. I only think the 51 and the 2 were the only two that I know that led.
Was it a 150 lapper?
Yes.
150 lapper. It looked like a great crowd. It looked like a great day for racing up there. Sam, after the race, was there any trouble in tech? Did all the cars clear tech? No problem?
From my understanding, yes. But
they
that
took
doesn't.
Motors.
Yeah.
So who knows yet? They took the top.
What, Tim?
Took their motors, all the engines.
Really? Oh, wow, the spec engines, yeah.
Yep.
When did they get those back?
Whatever.
Well, they're off next week, right, Sam?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I was just wondering, because if they took my motor and I only had, I mean, I'm sure they have more than one, but I mean, you could put somebody in a hard spot.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why they took it now, because there is a week off in between the next race. So now they have a little time to do that. And I'm sure NASCAR will get the motors back as quick as possible.
Yeah, I mean,
NASCAR.
Good.
Because NASCAR is the greatest sanctioned body in the world, right, Sam Ballard Jr.?
That's right.
It really is. I mean, for the local racing,
they are very professional.
If I go to like I don't want to name any of the names, but if we go to another, we decide we're going to go race another modified series somewhere, it's NASCAR is so much better. So, if you're supposed to be in the spotter stand at 12 o'clock, that's what time you get there. There's other divisions, you be there at 12 o'clock and they don't come up till 2.
Now, Tim, I think you said at South Boston you actually missed the spotters meeting. Was there any type of penalty for missing the spotters meeting?
There usually is. It's either 5 minutes of practice. You got to go present and you sit at the end of the pit road for 5 minutes. Or then sometimes they would take a qualifying lap away from.
Oh, wow, that's a big one. Yeah.
But I didn't. Either somebody went, but it was such a debacle. I mean, I wasn't the only spotter.
That's right. It wasn't your fault, right? Because it was the sign-in that was. You were at the track. You were just taking 2 minutes.
Yeah, I was standing in the same line with 5 other spotters. So
was that the first time you ever missed a spotters meeting?
Well, won't go there because Sam will get me in trouble. But yeah, no, not at all. I mean, there's been times where I've been on the Tappan Zee Bridge getting to the track, and that's when the spotters meeting is. I don't live in Connecticut, so there's certain times that I can't be there, but they just send somebody else.
Yeah.
Like Edgar will go, the car owner or the driver. The driver can go. It depends. What happened at South Boston, I don't know. That happened to me one time back when I was at Nazareth spotting for John, and that's when we had the Nextel walkie-talkie phones.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had those, and I was standing in line to get in the ticket booth, and my phone goes off, and it's John's like, "Where the hell are you? They're looking for you at the spotters meeting. I'm going to get penalized." I text him back. I go, "Well, if you're going to get penalized," Jeff Fuller's spotter was right with me, and Mike Stefanik's wife was in line. I'm like, "You ain't the only one that's going to get in trouble." And then 5 minutes later, they made all the spotters go to the front of the line and signed us in and shuttled us in there. So they did wait for us for that one, but that was a different day and time.
So I'm just curious. You mentioned South Boston again, and I was reading that South Boston, the Speedway, was not happy with the penalties issued by NASCAR. Did you?
Yeah, I saw that too.
That was for the late model race.
Yeah, that was for the late model race. They were saying Lee Pullum shouldn't have been fined the $1,500. He got fined the $1,500 because when that guy reached into his car, he peeled out and almost ran the guy over. But South Boston and tracks themselves saying they weren't happy with NASCAR's decision to fine him because the guy was in his car, so he had to write the speed off like that. And I think it got overturned or something like that. I think something became of that. I think NASCAR didn't fine him there in the end.
Well, I think Scott will tell you the problem is he didn't aim the fire extinguisher at him.
That's right. But then again, I think Lee Pullum can afford to pay that fine because I think he went up to that race in Orange County Speedway and won $30,000 last week. So I think he's over that incident and the $1,500 fine by now. So
well, there was kind of like a loophole in that thing because they said the guy that drove away with the guy hanging out of his car shouldn't be fined because he was protecting himself.
Right.
And they said that the guy that ran out on the track, I mean, where we race at Wall Stadium, I'm pretty sure if I was, not that I'm gonna because I ain't running anywhere, but if I was in the pits for you, Scott, and I'm signed in under your car and I run down the track to go choke Elliott, you're supposed to get thrown out because I'm signed underneath your car, correct?
Right.
That's how that works? Well, apparently there's no policy like that for that track. That guy went out, as far as the track was considered, that guy went out there on his own will.
Right.
And that's why they didn't fine the other guy because there's no rule that he gets fined for that. That's why he didn't get fined. That's what the track was trying to fight against NASCAR. Now, apparently the guy that ran
winning. I think NASCAR
did, because apparently the guy that ran out onto the track did not have a NASCAR license. So there was nothing that NASCAR could technically do because he didn't have a NASCAR license. They can't fine him, but they put a fine on. From what I understand, they put a fine on him. So now, if he needs a NASCAR license in the future, he has to pay that fine before he goes in. So
right.
What a mess. Okay, I almost regret asking at this point.
Well,
just idiots being idiots. It sounds
I just want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
So, being able to talk to some of the guys who made the call at South Boston, I don't know if I can really get into it, so I'm not going to get into it. But
get into it.
The call was justified. For what the way they explained it, it was justified. Now I don't know why South Boston is going out and going. I mean, why would the track even mention it? I mean, that's like Diane coming off and crapping on NASCAR after the tour race.
It might happen.
Why would you do that as a track promoter? I don't understand. I'm not a track promoter, but I mean, the call was justified.
Well, my understanding, Sam, was the track wanted to emphasize that it was NASCAR's penalty, not theirs. So that way, anybody that was upset about it wouldn't blame the track. They wanted them to blame NASCAR because, like, whoa, it wasn't me, it was them.
Yeah, it might have been them just deflecting it onto NASCAR and not onto them, Because, I mean, Lee Pullum, he's a huge late model racer down south. He's a big draw for these tracks. And I guess, like Josh just said, that South Boston, the racetrack themselves, wanted the race fans to know that they didn't find Lee, that NASCAR did.
Right.
before we get off of South Boston and get back to the tour race, last week we were doing the South Boston race, and we didn't mention the winner of the modified tour race until later on in the show after we did everything else. And Ronnie Silk's spotter last week, whenever we post the show on social media, within a half hour that he called me crying that we didn't mention that Ronnie Silk won the race because he didn't listen to the whole podcast.
Ronnie who?
He got so upset with us that we didn't mention the winner. But make sure that we mentioned that Ronnie Silk won that race last week.
Hey, not only did Ron Silk win the South Boston race last week, he finished very well at Thompson. He had another good run at Thompson to back up that South Boston win. He's running really good in that purple 85. He's doing a great job. Tim says, he really stepped the performance of that team up. He says that, the reason why that team's running good is because Ron's real good at working on the cars and setting the cars up for himself. I'm keeping an eye on that team. I hope they make all the races, and I think they got a good shot at winning this whole tour thing. So yeah, we wish him well, and he did win South Boston. I think he finished second or third? Did he finish second in front of you guys, Tim?
Yeah, he finished second. Yes,
he finished second. So, and another one who's running good too, and we've been talking about. We wonder what he's going to do when Bowman Gray opens up. Is Burt Myers? I mean, Burt Myers had another top 10. I think he finished seventh at Thompson. He's been running very good in Ed Harvey's car. I'm waiting to see what happens. If they're going to keep running the tour, if he's going to run Bowman Gray. Tim swears that it's going to be Bowman Gray. He's definitely going to pick Bowman Gray over the tour, but him and Ed Harvey are running real good. It's good to see a Southern team do good in the Southern tracks and then come up north. I think he was the only Southern team up there, right, Tim?
Yeah, that I know of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see a posting because there was a lot of criticism. I think was it a year or two ago of I think it was it the Bristol race with the modifieds where the highest finishing Southern Tour guy was outside of the top 10 or something like that.
Yeah. They used to bill us as all the Northern cars would have an N after their number, and all the Southern cars would have an S after their number for North and South.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to bill it like that, and I guess in the politically correct world that we live in these days, that didn't go over so well. Now they have now it says NY or NJ or NC. It's not North or South. It's where your car is out of type thing. So to give you a little bit.
That's you were saying that you have spotted on other modified series other than NASCAR, and now that NASCAR has the weekend off, will you be spotting anywhere next weekend?
I do. I will. And I actually was just texting to see if this was permission to. This wasn't a secret. God forbid. I will be at Wall Stadium spotting for Jimmy Blewett in the family-owned red, white, and blue number 76.
Oh wow! Are you going to be one of 5 spotters, or will you be?
I hope I'll be one of 7. Yes, but I will be the main spotter.
So you'll spot from flag stand to turn 1, and then somebody else will take turn 2 to the back straightaway.
Yeah, no, well, Hot Pockets will be ARCA racing, so he won't be there, and Richie Evans will be doing the Cicero kid if he's there. So I think I'll be on my own this week, because Freddie will be cup racing. So if you want to, Scott, that's an inside joke for the. With us, but to make a long story short on that, I am not Jimmy Blewett's primary spotter. Hot Pockets is and always will be. If Hot Pockets can't do it, then I'll do it if I can. If I can't do it, then Richie Evans will do it. Freddie does Turkey Derby just because that's what Freddie and Jimmy do. Turkey Derby. I could do Turkey Derby if I really wanted to. Freddie likes to do Jimmy at Turkey Derby. I can find somebody else, so that's why Freddie does Turkey Derby. That's how that all works, and that's where that joke comes from.
All right, so I guess we're going to keep on the local theme here.
We about the modifieds. The race went well for the most part. It went green for the most part. We ended up running third, and then at the end there was a yellow for debris. I guess that was that last caution race. They never really called it, Sam, but there was 10 to go, and it was a yellow, and they were picking up sheet metal on the front stretch.
Yeah, off of 4, and then by the flag stand and after the start finish line.
Yeah, in Sam's defense, they were having communication issues, NASCAR, which doesn't normally happen, but we couldn't hear like we normally could. I guess you could hear on a channel that we didn't have, Sam. Usually we all hear the same channel.
That's correct.
Yeah. And we never. They usually tell us why the caution. They'll say put it out, and then they tell us why. We never got that on that last caution, so it bunched us all back up, and the racing got real good there. And then Jimmy got back up to the front. Where did he finish? 7th, 10th. Yeah, he got shuffled back, and
Doug Kobe drove his way through the pack. I think he finished 5th.
Yeah, Doug Kobe. Somebody said that he was like a second and a half faster than the field. I don't know if that was true or not, but he was definitely faster coming up through. He probably would have won the race if he didn't run over the airline. But was that your first ever modified tour race that you've ever watched?
No. I've been to icebreakers and other races, but that's the first one I worked.
Okay.
Oh, so you've been to Thompson before?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, Thompson's awesome. Man. Thompson's the best track for the modifieds.
I was telling Scott today that apparently, from what the word is, that what did I say? Marketing company took over, a promoting company took over the weekly racing series and the racing out there
on the oval track.
Yeah, they changed all the food vendors. Now you don't get the ice cream is Carvel, and it's all name brand stuff. And one thing that they didn't realize, or nobody told them, or whatever, they didn't have breakfast sandwiches made for the people in the pits.
Oh, really?
The company just didn't realize it. Apparently, it was
that people don't eat breakfast at the racetrack.
It was a pretty big uproar that
oh, Jesus,
people don't eat breakfast, so they gotta get that figured out. And I don't know. I mean, some people in New Jersey know about it. Some people, Josh, you may or may not know, and Sam, do you know? At a certain point in time around here, the White Castle burger is actually, this is the food segment, people. You know how a White Castle burger is supposed to be steamed, not cooked so much?
Okay.
Well, there's a place in New Jersey you can Google. It's called Manna Burger. That's like the original where White Castle stole the name from, or stole the product from. They actually steam the hamburgers. They don't cook them on a flat top. Now, there's a place in Connecticut that claims that they were the originators of that, and they actually had a trailer at the racetrack.
What's that called?
It's called, I don't know, some Steve's Burgers or Art's Burgers or Nat's Burger. I forget. But I never had one, but the line at this trailer, Josh, looked like they were giving away beer. That's how long the line for these cheeseburgers were.
That's because everybody was hungry because they didn't have a breakfast sandwich. They were starving.
So I tell Hot Pockets in the spotter stand, I'm like, yo, boy, after this race, you're going down, you're buying me one of those cheeseburgers. I want to try it. So the race goes on, blah, blah, blah. I leave. I go home. I pack up. I went home. Like an hour later, Hot Pockets called me. I didn't answer it. We were in the restaurant eating, and then I got home, and I fell asleep, and I woke up this morning, and Hot Pockets calls me at like 8 o'clock in the morning, which he never does. So I thought maybe he got in trouble. He needed a ride home. We never know where he could be. He called. He was like, "Oh, I'm mad at you." I'm like, "What are you mad at me for?" He goes, "After the race, I went down there, and I bought that damn cheeseburger. It was $10 after I waited in line for it, and you were gone." I go, "Well, did you eat it?" I go, "Did you eat it?" He goes, "Well, I ate half of it." I go, "How was it?" He goes, "The cheese was real good, but the rest of it was no good." He goes, they're white because they're steamed. They're not fried.
Okay.
And he said they fell apart and they were real moist. I go, "Well, I think that's that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be really moist." And
right.
So
that's what makes it a slider.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So,
other than that, I saw chicken fingers. The chicken fingers looked really good. Besides that, I didn't see much. And I had my Josh's typer. There's a what you have learned thing going on. And I had my tuna fish sandwich that I sent you a picture of.
Yeah.
Yep. That was it.
Tim made sure I saw he was eating a tuna sandwich. I understand.
Sam, you're official now. You're going to be out all these NASCAR races. You got to get on this tuna fish sandwich program.
You know, I'm not going to lie. They had tuna sandwiches in our hauler, and I had a few this weekend. Now, it wasn't Tim's tuna sandwich. But,
yeah, it's not the best.
I guess not.
I also heard another rumor at the racetrack, too, that Hot Pockets was walking around the pitch trying to gather up airfare all weekend. I don't know if that's true or not.
I actually heard a little bit about that. Yeah, he got home. So
I guess he got home, found airfare somewhere, and was able to buy his plane ticket and get back home. All right, so that's it. The modified tours races at Thompson, the Icebreakers in the record books, and they don't race again for 2 weeks. When the next race is Stafford, is that still called the Spring Fling or Spring Sizzler or anything like that? Spring Sizzler at Stafford on Easter weekend. Sam, what are you going to do? That's Easter weekend, bud. Are you going to be able to make it up there?
It's the last weekend in April, so it's the weekend after Easter.
I
so
do
you
have
2 weeks off then. The tour has 2 weeks.
Poor Sam's in the spotter stand for the first time, and actually was a pretty lackluster. Nobody really fought or anything, but somebody did. One of the other spotters, who I won't name just out of respect, as much as I want to, I won't name him, knocked Waddell's complete communication bag off the spotter stand, and the other spotter's official, her name is BJ, who's been up there with us for as long. He's been going to the races as long as I have, and she knew that was going to be a problem when he found out. And sure enough, we're all waiting for Waddell to come waddling back up the stands, and he come back up, and Cadillac Sam Jr. got to see his first somebody
explosion.
It was a mess.
All right, so we're moving on to more local stuff. We're going to move on to...
I thought when we talked about the Spring Sizzler, I thought Tim was going to go into a story about going to a Sizzler sometime. But
the Thompson Icebreaker and the Spring Sizzler, they're classic races up in New England. I mean, they're as big as the Turkey Derby is to us. I mean, that's their big events up there, and it's tradition up there. It really is. I'm glad to see that it's continuing up there. New Egypt Speedway started their season off this year on the dirt track. They got going. I don't know much about it, but I did see that TJ Graves, a 4-cylinder driver from Wall Stadium, switched over to dirt, and he won the feature over there. Congratulations to TJ Graves, and we hope to see you back at Wall Stadium as well. I noticed a few other names over there.
He's a past guest, too, on the show. He talked about...
TJ Graves is a past guest. We just want to congratulate him on his win, and hopefully he still comes to Wall Stadium, too. I noticed a lot of the 4-cylinder guys are doing both this year, which is pretty cool.
TJ Graves is Bailey and Alexis' favorite all-time driver.
And he's a relative of Chip Graves that we used to watch in the Modified. So
yeah,
and
Chip is his uncle.
I got to ask him if he still has his big vibrating box with batteries in it.
That was from computer racing, right? Am I correct about that?
The iRacing.
Yep. Yeah, I hope so.
His butt kicker.
And Ryan Godown won the modified race there at New Egypt.
Yeah, that's right. So they had a good weekend, keeping busy. I want to mention that Brian O'Shea was down at Thompson. Was he helping out Kraus, Tim?
I didn't even see him. Yeah, there were so many people there, and Sam.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering what Brian was doing because I know he helps Andrew Kraus, but in the last 2 races he's been helping Timmy Solomito's team,
right? And
because Andrew hasn't been racing, Thompson was Andrew's first tour race of the year, and I know Brian O'Shea was going up there to help somebody. I'm pretty sure he was going to help Andrew Kraus this time. Did you see him, Sam?
I did. He was right by the tire impound, so I grabbed him and I talked to him and talked to a few.
Was he helping the Krauses?
He was.
Okay, so yeah, Brian O'Shea was up there helping, and he's been going to all the tour races. I think it's great that he's being a crew member, and he's a young guy. He's a mechanic by trade. I think it's a perfect fit for him traveling while he's single and racing with the modifieds. I think it's awesome. Scott, which is me, won an Enduro at Big Diamond Speedway. That's 7 in a row for me at Big Diamond in the Enduros, 50 lapper. We talk about roadside attractions on this show, and one roadside attraction on the way to Big Diamond as you come up to the town of Minersville on the right-hand side. This guy has a house right on the side of the highway, and for some reason he has like a mannequin of a girl in a cage hanging from a tree, and he decorates it. Every time you go by, it's decorated. Last week when I drove up there, she was all dressed in green lingerie with a St. Patty's Day hat on. So she was decorated for St. Patty's Day. This time Nancy went up with us. I said, "Oh, check this out. This guy has like this mannequin hanging in a tree in like a stripper's cage, like a jail cell almost like." And I said, last time I was up here, she was dressed in for St. Patty's Day. For some reason, this time he had her dressed up in like roller derby gear. So it's I'm sure if anybody from our area or listening to us now have been to Big Diamonds has seen this guy's front yard with this girl sitting hanging from this tree. It's pretty funny. So that's one of our roadside attractions.
On its skin.
Could you imagine having that hanging in your house, in your yard in Bricktown or Wall Township, New Jersey?
I know, that's what I was saying too. I'm surprised the town allows it, and it's right on a busy road too. I'm sure.
Well, then again, I expected Sam's girlfriend to be in a cage, and she's just sitting behind him. So I guess she's not.
I think she walked out with a toothbrush and a cup to brush her teeth.
One girl, one cup.
Ooh, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't able to get the win up there again. Another on a side note, Nancy bought 2 cars up there. Bought Nancy's dirt car up there, and she completed her first dirt race. She did very well. There was 14 cars. She finished 7th.
Wow.
She completed the 50 lapper. She ran really good, and she enjoyed it. She had a good time.
Where did my buddy Lee Allen finish?
2nd.
So, was it a close fight or?
Yeah, he actually. One weird thing, I started on the pole. We draw for positions there. We draw chips, and Lee pulled 4 out of the hat, and then Johnny Rockstar, he raced at All-State for a little while. He's racing dirt again this year. He pulled 2, so he was all happy. And then I went, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got you beat this time." But I pulled 1 out of the hat, so I started on the pole. So I did start on the pole, and I jumped out to a great lead, and I was really cruising along good. And then one of the race cars were trying to pull off the track and got stuck in the pit gate. Like, he didn't make it off the track. He ran out of power before he got off the track. So and Enduros up there, they keep you guessing. They never do the same thing twice. So they threw the yellow. So we're pacing around yellow, and sometimes you just pace around yellow where you're at slowly, and then they push the car off the track, and then they just throw green. So you got to watch for it. You could be anywhere, and the green just comes back on once the track is clear. Sometimes they relined you up like a real race, and this time they lined us up like a real race, and that put Lee Allen on the outside pole of me, and dirt racing the outside was always faster because I was pinched down low, and he did get ahead of me. On the restart, and I did fall back to 3rd, but I was able to pass Lee and the other guy and get back to 1st. And then we had a couple more red flags after that. One girl lost her tire. There was 2 girls in the race. Another girl was racing a 4-cylinder, and she lost her right front tire, and the red came out for that, and I was able to get going good. So yeah, I had whole Lee off. It was a real good race. It was a lot of fun.
There's good video coverage. That guy does an excellent job. I'll post a link tomorrow after we put the
it's on my Facebook page. I posted the highlights of the video on there. You'll see what I'm talking about. We can post it on our RPM podcast for our listeners to check it out.
Was Mr. Jones up there, Scott?
No, Derek didn't come this time, which was disappointing because Derek finished 3rd last time and was real fast. He said he had some family stuff going on, and he wasn't able to back it up. Another local guy that didn't make it back up that was there last week was Kevin Flores. Kevin Flores didn't make the trip back up there this week. So that was good. That was my 7th win in a row up there. And now this weekend I'll be racing Wall Stadium with the 2 factory stocks, me and Nancy. And then Sunday I'm going back to Grandview with the dirt car because I'm 2nd in points at Grandview. So I got a busy race weekend ahead.
Boy.
so that's my little spiel. So now Mahoning Valley was another track that opened up. A couple things caught my eye. First of all, the place was packed. I mean, they do a great job. They get great fields of cars, and not everybody qualifies there. They can only start 20 cars there because the track is so small. I noticed there was a lot of cars that didn't qualify. It's also a great track because the town itself supports it. I mean, they've had the same families racing there forever. Like, it's the Hirschmans, the Beers, all them. They really keep that track going. Earl Pauls, all those guys. It's a great little racetrack. Matt Hirschman did get the win again. Big surprise there, right? Matt won again. Another name I saw in there that I thought was pretty cool was Anthony Sesley finished 5th. It was good to see Anthony back up there. That's pretty much where Anthony started his racing career because you're allowed to race up there when you're younger, like 14, 15 years old. And him and his sister started their racing the DA modifieds there. So it was pretty cool. Tim, do you know who he was driving for up there or anything? Or was it his own car? Or was it that guy that lives up there with the 1 car? It was probably
I honestly don't know. If you just named the guesses that I would have had, it was either the 1 car or his own stuff. I don't know.
But congratulations to Anthony. It was good to see him back at Mahoning Valley, and he finished 5th. So I don't know if he's planning on racing Wall or if he plans on racing Mahoning, because I know his car owner is from Pennsylvania, so they might be doing the Mahoning Valley thing this year. Another thing I wanted to mention, we didn't mention during the NASCAR segment, is Darrell Waltrip announced that he's retiring from broadcasting. I think it's time. I think it's a good call, but I hope we don't lose Darrell altogether. Like I said in our previous broadcast last week, that I hope he can do like big interviews and be like the Barbara Walters of NASCAR, and maybe do like 5 big interviews a year with some of the top guys, like an hour special or something like that. And we have a listener, Bobby Brown, that was from Farmingdale, and he used to race the dwarf cars, and he was also a longtime crew member for Dick Barney on the Red 14 Modified. Bobby messaged me and said, I listened to what you said about Darrell retiring and being the Barbara Walters of NASCAR, and he reminded me of a show called Winners with Neil Bonnet. Neil Bonnet did that when he retired from broadcasting. He had an hour special show, and he would go like fishing with Dale Earnhardt and do the whole interview. He would go hunt with somebody else or something like that. So maybe Darrell can do something like that. I hope he's not gone for good. I think it's good he's getting out of the booth, but I think he's valuable in other places, and he can do a good job still in broadcasting doing something else.
Yeah, and it sounds like that he went out on his own accord. You know what I'm saying? It's not that he got fired or he's sick. He sounds like he just wants to spend more time with his grandchildren right now.
He said he actually wanted to retire in 2017 because 17 is a big number in his life, because that was his famous car number was 17. He wanted to retire in 2017 because it was 2017. Plus, it was his 17th year of broadcasting. But they asked him to stay on for 2 more years, and they were waiting for Jeff Gordon to come in and stuff like that. And so he actually stayed 2 years longer than he wanted to. So
yeah, and it was cool that, I mean, it's no secret Jeff Gordon's been his whole career. He's been very emotional. He cried in Victory Lane when he first won, and there was a time where him and Darrell Waltrip weren't friends. They were fierce competitors, and when this all came out, Jeff Gordon got very emotional, and he said, he was upset that gave him a lot of respect that he was leaving the booth, and said he helped him out a lot. So, when another Hall of Fame race car driver says you did that, it's good that he gave him the respect that he deserved.
Yeah, I think he should be recognized for his contributions and stuff. But I agree, it's probably time for him to step out of the booth. But at the same time, I'm kind of surprised he didn't stay on for one more year to make it that even 20.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, so that brings us to what I have learned today.
Did we discuss that? How was the Wall Stadium practice to car counts and all that?
I just stopped in to grab tires real quick. It didn't look no bigger than the first one, I mean, there was a good turnout, but it was nothing like packed or spectacular or anything like that. A lot of people aren't ready yet. I open tonight's going to be a great night of racing, but I don't think we're going to be overpacked with cars. I think a lot of, because we have the Easter weekend off after that, I think a lot of people are shooting for after that weekend because they get 2 more weeks. But I mean, we'll have good fields. There'll be a good amount of cars, but some people aren't ready yet.
I think my dad stopped in. He said the factory stocks had the most cars, and he saw I think it was 5 or 6 modifieds, and a handful of sportsmen out there. But the factory stocks were. He was surprised at just how many cars there are, and there's a lot of newer guys too coming in. I mean, which is good for the division.
I tell you what, Josh, lately I've been offered a lot of sportsman's rides in the last few weeks, and I just keep turning them down. I have you in the back of my mind. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I mean,
one thing I
don't get hurt.
One thing I did see, talk about sportsmen, people leaving or going. Okerson, what do you call it?
Yeah, I saw that. Chaz Okerson isn't going to race this year. His race team's going to race, but they're actually putting Kevin Davison in the car to race it. That's a pretty shocker. I mean, I know Kevin's good friends with that family. They help him with his sportsman car. I know when they would field 2 car, they would put Kevin in the other car. For some reason, Chaz is stepping out, and I when I see him, I will ask him why and what's going on. But yeah, Chaz, who has been a fixture at Wall Stadium in that 99 modified, plus back to his pro stock days where he won a bunch of championships. He's not racing this year, but his family's going to continue with driver Kevin Davison.
Kevin's a good kid. Kevin deserves
He's a real
that.
kid. He's a good driver too. He really is a good. He deserves a modified ride. He's come up through the ranks. He's won numerous sportsman championships, and if he doesn't win, he's second or third. He's had a great career in the sportsman division. It's great to see that. That's kind of like the old school way. Race sportsmen, do good, move up to the modified. So I was shocked, but I was happy for Kevin that he got the ride. I wish him well. I'm going to watch him. I think he's going to do very good with that team.
Speaking of plans and moving up and all that, Sam, this summer, are you going to be home at all? Are you going to be doing anything at the track? Are you, other than the May 18th, you're sticking with NASCAR?
I have my summers packed with go-karts and NASCAR. I'll be working race directing the Manufacturer Cup Series. We have a big event in Charlotte, North Carolina coming up the end of June. I'm a race director now at GoPro Motorplex, so I'll be a GoPro race directing. I'm with NASCAR.
So you're staying in North Carolina this summer?
Yep, I'm taking summer classes and looking at graduating in December.
So I won't see him for a beer until December.
So you're not moving in with Eric Brennan this summer?
No.
Nah.
So why don't
Can
you
you
go
stay right on campus? Can you stay right on campus over the summer?
I can, but it's really expensive. So I'm actually in the process of working on trying to find a place to live. So if you have an extra bedroom and you live in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, please let me know.
And you
How
have to
far are
be
you
a Jimmy
from
Johnson.
Kannapolis? I know a family in Kannapolis that will probably take you in.
About half an hour from Kannapolis.
I might be able to set something up for you.
Hot Pockets has an extra bedroom.
Oh, boy.
That might be some never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Will they accept purple sheets?
Hot Pockets is a huge wrestling fan, though. You should move in with him.
Oh, yeah. He likes to turn the heat up and take his shirt off.
You have to turn the heat up and take your shirt off and watch some wrestling with him.
Oh, yeah. That's no joke. He turns the heat up. It's time to get out. Got to go home.
Oh, my God.
When he breaks out WrestleMania 3 DVDs and turns the heat up, it's time to call it a night.
Before we get off of Wall Go ahead, Scott.
No, I was just moving on to what have we learned today.
Before we get off of Wall Stadium, Sunday Series had their practice. Apparently, I was at Thompson, but apparently the car count was good. A lot of new faces. My wife told me, and Bailey was the only kid in her division, so she got to go down the track by herself, which was good. She turned laps faster than she ever did, and she actually spun out a couple times, which I take as a good thing because she was, trying different things and
pushing her limits.
Yeah, it went well. Everything went well. Thank you for everybody that helped her, and thank you to Alan Brennan and all those guys.
Did you get the new seats mounted finally for the kids?
They did for Bailey. Alexis's third seat came, and it was not feasible to get into the cart, so they had to send that one back.
Sounds like you got a handful of Jeff Gordon's driving for you. The seat's got to be perfect.
Yeah. That's Alexis. The seat's got to be. Bailey's got to look like Jimmy Blewett, and Alexis has got to fit in the seat like the Princess and the Pea. Everything's got to be perfect, So if anybody's got any go-kart seats kicking around, bring them to Wall Stadium on Saturday. I'll bring them home and we'll try them.
Oh, boy.
And before we get to the what have we learned thing, I just got to plug something I got going on for Saturday. Saturday, I'm going to have my car on display at the Stewart's Root Beer and How before opening night. It'll be Saturday. I think I'm scheduled to be there from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'm going to have both race cars there. I'm going to have the 09 there and the 89. Stewart's has been sponsoring me for about 5 years now. If you want, before you go on your way to the track, please stop in, have lunch with us, come hang out with us, come see the race cars. It's going to be a great show. It's the Stewart's Root Beer and How. I'm not sponsored by the one in Wallen, where I'm sponsored by the one in How. It's right on Route 9 by 195. I'll be there from 11 to 2 p.m.
Is that by Hulse's Corner there?
Yep, right on the corner of Hulse's Corner Road.
Okay.
Just so you know, when we all worked at the junkyard before they had sponsored Scott, we would all go there for lunch every day. The place is amazing. The food's you wouldn't think the food is as good as it is in there. They do a good job. And hopefully, if I go there this Saturday, I get some kind of Riggleman family card where I get some free food.
They are giving free root beer floats to kids. So if you have your kids
that don't help me
for a free root beer float, come join us and have a root beer float on us. It's going to be a great turnout. We're going to have giveaways, balloons. I got my new hero cards on the way with the new cars on them. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Anybody else bringing their cars, or just you and Nancy?
Yeah, just me and Nancy. The parking lot's not too big, so we just want to have two cars there. But everybody's welcome to stop by and check it out. I hope you do. That brings us to what have we learned? It's in Sam Ballard's honor. You can go first, buddy.
I've learned that Scott likes the big diamonds. I learned what sliders were. You got to forgive me. I'm a little rusty here, folks. And I realized you guys are really bad. I mean, I don't know what Ellen was doing behind me, but y'all are relentless with them. Jeez. just a little full disclosure. Her parents listen to the show, so when I don't have a chance to listen to the show, I get told when to listen and what to listen for. So I do have my ear still on the RPM podcast.
We love you, Sam. We do.
Uh-huh.
All right, I'll go next here. Is that it, Sam? Is that it for you?
Yeah.
All right. We welcome Sam Ballard back, and I learned that he's still useless and totally ruined our intro for him coming back by not having his equipment set up right. But I think it's also great that Sam is still willing to check my underwear, even though he's a big NASCAR official now. So I'll be looking forward to that. And I also learned that Tim doesn't run anywhere.
Now you've known that forever. Who are you lying to?
Let's do Tim then.
Yeah, Tim.
I learned that Sam still has the same sheets on his bed. that he actually does have a girlfriend.
Yeah, she's pretty too. We've seen her sitting back there. She does not look like she's happy that he's podcasting right now, but she was there.
Full disclosure, she actually encouraged me coming on the podcast, but school's been so hectic and stuff that's the reason why I haven't.
That's why we don't give you too hard of a time.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, it's good to have you back. And to answer your question, Josh, that you may learn some of these. I did actually go to a steakhouse at Thompson. You said where the steakhouse is in Connecticut, where it's Chuck's Steakhouse, and it's actually in Massachusetts is where you go. And there's Scott's girlfriend behind him.
Wife. my girlfriend's not here. That's my wife. You won't see my girlfriend on this podcast, trust me.
That's my Kyle Busch hating sister-in-law right there is what that is.
Anything else, Tim?
Yeah, Josh, whatever you learn, buddy.
Oh, boy, what have I learned today? Today I learned that Scott likes Farmer Bob's Strip Club. I learned that Scott wants WrestleMania on Bristol's big screen.
Sam, you weren't here for that. Do you think that's a good idea? Like, the attendance was real bad at Bristol, and listening to NASCAR radio today, someone called in and suggested the reason why the stands were empty at Bristol is because it was WrestleMania weekend and more people were watching WrestleMania than Bristol were going to the track. And then someone suggested that Bristol should have thought ahead and played WrestleMania on the big screen while the races were going on. It could have been like a double ticket.
That's terrible.
That's terrible.
Let's see. What I learned that Scott never saw fried green tomatoes.
I went to Bristol. I never saw the movie. Yeah, never saw the movie.
I learned that NASCAR lets Sam do it all. I learned that Ronnie Silk won. I learned that Tim is second fiddle with Jimmy. Blew it. I learned that Tim missed out on a slider, and I learned that Sam grabbed Brian O'Shea.
Good God. All right, well, that wraps up episode 132 of the RPM podcast. Welcome back, Sam Ballard Jr. Hopefully he'll be stopping in more, and we hope to have him for Easter weekend because he can give us all the religious update on Easter weekend. He does a great job on that.
What?
Oh, I do have a religious question for you, Sam.
Uh-oh.
Now, they say that Jesus was hung on a cross, but I heard the people, the real religious people, know that it was a stake. It wasn't a cross. Was he on a stake or a cross when he was crucified?
I was told he was crucified on a cross.
On a cross, right? Some of the real religious people say it wasn't a cross. It was a stake. So I don't know.
I don't know if you guys looked at the crucifix. I'm sure you have. But when his feet are flat, his feet actually weren't flat. There was actually a platform to keep the feet at the angle. So, because, if his feet were flat.
That was for comfort.
Well, no, it was because... Right. If his feet were flat, he would have died quicker. This is from what I was told. And I went to a Catholic school for 5 years. But if his feet weren't flat, it kept him alive longer, so he'd suffer more. Fun fact. Okay. Fun Catholicism fact of the day.
So, Sam, do you know why women love Jesus?
Oh, goodness, Josh. I got a job with NASCAR, but I get kicked off. Why? Why do women love Jesus?
Because he was hung like this.
But Sam, real quick on the religious thing, if he got crucified on a cross, the cross should be a bad thing. Why do you guys wear crosses?
Why do you celebrate it?
Because it's a symbol of what Jesus did for us on the cross. Yeah, I got my cross right here. So it's a symbol of what, I can't believe this is happening. It's a symbol of what, and it's a reminder of the sacrifice that Jesus gave for us. He loves us so much that he gave his
I just saw a funny meme that it was like Jesus saying, Why do you guys think I like the cross? Yeah, it makes no sense.
Why is it called Good Friday? If he died?
Because he oh, God.
Seriously, why would it be good?
I know why it's good. Because you can go to the steakhouse and there ain't no line there. You can get right in there.
Everybody's busy eating fish.
That's why it's Good Friday.
Seriously, Sam, why is it Good Friday? We love you. We do.
We miss you, Sam.
Jesus dying on the cross was good because the gates of heaven opened up. You know, it was like he came down for our sins. It was a good thing. Like, come on.
It was a good thing for us, a bad thing for him.
He did what he had to do.
We love you, Sam. Thank you. Thank you for putting up with us.
Sam, did you see they rebuilt the Ark? We can go see the Ark now. They made a big
But isn't it like in the middle of nowhere somewhere?
It would have to be as big as it is.
Oh my God. Another roadside attraction on your way to the next race.
It is.
All right, so once again, this concludes episode 132 of the RPM podcast. We welcome Sam Ballard back. It might be another 6 months before we see Sam Ballard again.
It might be.
Honestly, it's like he never left, so it was good to have Sam back. A lot of racing going on this weekend, guys. Get to Wall Stadium. Opening night at Wall Stadium, man. So excited about opening night at Wall Stadium. Let's make it a great one.
Is there an on-track party this?
No, that's the second week of racing.
Okay.
We're off Easter weekend, and then on the following weekend will be the on track party. I'm also racing Grandview on Sunday with the Outlaw Enduro Series.
Yeah, another win for Scott. We get it.
Sam's got something to say. What do you want to say, Sam?
I just wanted to say, if you have not been to a Wheel and Modify race, I highly suggest you do it. The drivers are great. The crews are great. It was a great experience to be part of it. And if you haven't gone to a Wheel and Modify race, you should. It's definitely a bucket list, especially Stafford. But if not, go to Wall.
Go to Wall. The Modified Tour is definitely on an upswing. The car counts have been great. The places have been packed. And I agree with Sam. I love the Modified Tour. It's one of the best races going on. And we're lucky to have it coming to Wall Stadium this year. So make sure you come out to that race on May 18th.
Poor Sam's walking up to the spotter stand and Hotbox is going, Cadillac Sam's going up here. Here comes Cadillac Sam. You were on the cool side. You were on the good side, Sam. You weren't on the other side. You don't want to go on the other side over there. Stay where you were.
You know, I sat in the middle because I realized if I stood up, I'd block my fat ass would block your view from the track. So I just sat down and said, if they need me, they'll grab me. Anyway, end the show. Come on.
Sorry. All right. Thank you for listening. Go to Wall opening night this weekend, and then follow Scott at whatever race he's going to win on dirt next. So, Lee Allen's probably getting all mad at me now.
Josh, you going to Wall Saturday?
I'm going to be at Wall Saturday. Don't you worry. And then I'm also going to be at Wall May 18th for the modified race. Because the factory stocks are going to be there. So.
I'll be there for both of those. So everybody go to Wall this Saturday.
And we'll be back with you again next week. So we'll see you then. Go to Wall.